The table was too long for the room, or maybe the room had grown smaller over the years. Either way, I had to lean forward to hear people, which is a humiliating posture for a man who once spoke at board meetings without a microphone. Father's Day, June 18th, 2023. 71 years old. According to the card printed in gold script that my daughter had picked up at Walgreens on the way over. I recognized the brand of envelope. I'd paid for it. Everything on that table, in one way or another, had already passed through my hands. The roast chicken was dry, overcooked, intentionally so. My daughter always worried about underdone meat, about lawsuits, about what could be blamed on whom. Rosemary potatoes, a salad nobody touched, a bottle of California Cab that cost $39.99 and was discussed as if it were an investment. Across from me sat Harold Bennett, my daughter's father-in-law, 82, clean as a showroom floor, white hair combed back like he still had something to prove. He wore a linen blazer indoors and smelled faintly of expensive soap, the kind that doesn't lather much but promises purity. My son-in-law, Mark, stood up and tapped his fork against his glass. "All right, everyone," he said, smiling in that practiced way. Before dessert, we wanted to do gifts. I felt the familiar tightening in my stomach. Gifts had become performances in this family. Statements, really. Hierarchies disguised with ribbons. "Dad," my daughter said, turning to Harold first. "This is for you." She slid a long, elegant envelope across the table. Cream-colored, heavy paper. The kind you don't buy unless you want the recipient to notice the thickness. Harold opened it slowly, savoring the moment. First the corner, then the full reveal. "Oh my God," he breathed. "First class." Mark laughed. "Round trip New York to Rome. Direct. Lie-flat seats. And the lounge access," my daughter added quickly. "You'll love the lounge." I watched Harold's fingers tremble, not from age, but from pleasure, as he read. His eyes shone. The room leaned toward him. "This must have cost a fortune," he said, though his smile suggested he already knew exactly how much. "About 23,000, Mark said lightly. "But you're worth it." 23,000. I tasted it the way you taste blood when you bite your cheek. Harold stood, walked around the table, and hugged my daughter. Then, Mark. Then, to my surprise, he turned to me. "Thank you," he said warmly, squeezing my shoulder. "You've raised a generous girl." I nodded. The motion cost me more effort than it should have. Then my daughter turned to me, suddenly bright. "And Dad," she said, "we didn't forget you." She placed a small rectangle in front of me. Cardboard. Thin. Loudly thin. A scratch-off lottery ticket. $2. The corner already bent. "For fun," she said. "You always say it's the thought that counts." Laughter rippled politely around the table. Someone clinked a spoon. I picked it up between my fingers. The silver coating was unbroken. "Unlucky already." "Careful," Mark joked. "If you win, we expect half." I smiled. "I've learned how to do that without involving my eyes." You know," I said, "your mother used to love these." That was a lie. My wife hated gambling. She hated waste. She hated surprises that came without receipts. The room quieted for a second, then moved on. Dessert arrived, store-bought cheesecake, still cold in the center. Coffee followed. I noticed my daughter hadn't used my old percolator, the one I'd fixed 3 times. Instead, there was a sleek pod machine on the counter. Black, fingerprint-resistant, new. I sat there, listening to talk of flight times and aisle seats, of Romeo in September, of how older travelers really deserve comfort. My ticket lay by my plate. $2. Potentially infinite, they say. I slipped it into my shirt pocket, feeling its weightless presence. Later, as I stood to leave, Mark clapped me on the back. "Don't forget to scratch it," he said. "You never know." Oh, I knew. I just didn't know yet how much it was going to cost them. I didn't scratch the ticket that night. I put it on the kitchen counter, next to the pill organizer and the envelope with my property tax bill, and went to bed. Sleep came in pieces, like an old radio signal breaking up. At 3:12 a.m., I gave up and made coffee the way my wife used to. Ground beans, kettle patience. No pod machine. I like to see things happen. Morning light revealed what night tends to soften. The counter was cluttered. A receipt from Whole Foods, $184.67. Mostly things I don't eat. Almond milk, pre-cut fruit. Gluten-free bread that tastes like wet cardboard. A post-it in my daughter's handwriting. We'll reimburse you later. Dated April. It was June. I sat down with my laptop. Slow thing. The fan whining like it resented me. I logged into my bank account. The one I'd kept joint for emergencies. That's what my wife and I called it when we added our daughter after her first divorce scare. Temporary. Sensible. Family. The numbers loaded. There's a moment before understanding where the mind resists. I stared at the transactions like they were written in a foreign language. I almost remembered. April 3rd, 2023. Bennett Travel Group. $23,418.92. I scrolled. March 17th, Amex payment. $6,200. February 2nd, private academy tuition. $14,750. January 11th, mortgage assist transfer. $8,500. I opened a spreadsheet. Old habit. Dates. Vendors. Amounts. Notes. The list grew quietly, obediently. By the time the coffee cooled, the total at the bottom read $79,843.19. That was just this year. I leaned back and looked around the kitchen. The dent in the fridge door from when my grandson crashed his scooter into it. The cracked tile I never fixed because there was always something more urgent. The clock above the sink. 10 minutes fast like it had always been. My phone rang. My daughter's name lit up the screen. "Dad," she said brightly. "Did you sleep okay?" "I did," I said. "Listen, I was just looking at my account." A pause. Not long. Practiced. "Oh," she said. "Is something wrong?" "There's a charge from Bennett Travel Group." Another pause. Longer this time. "Oh, that. Yes. That's for Harold's tickets. We meant to tell you. You didn't." Well, everything was happening so fast. I watched a squirrel on the fence, tail flicking, nervous. "It was $23,000, I said. "Yes, but..." "And the academy tuition? That's for Lily. You know how important education is." "I paid for yours," I said. "I remember." "Dad," she sighed, the way she used to when she was 13. "You're not using the money. It's just sitting there." It was an odd thing to hear about money I'd earned lifting steel, breathing dust, missing dinners. "I'd like it back," I said. Silence. Then a small laugh, as if I'd made a joke. "Don't be dramatic." I hung up. By noon, I was at the bank. The branch smelled like carpet cleaner and anxiety. The young man at the desk wore a tie with tiny anchors. "I want to see a complete list of authorized users," I said. He typed, clicked, frowned slightly. "There's a power of attorney on file," he said. "I never signed that." He turned the screen. My signature was there, or something like it. Dated September 14, 2021. The week my wife died. The week I couldn't remember what day it was. My hand shook, not from age, from clarity. I went home and opened the filing cabinet. Manila folders, labeled in my wife's careful script. Insurance, utilities, legal. There it was, a document I didn't remember signing, notarized by a woman I vaguely recognized from my daughter's church. I sat on the floor and laughed once. Short, ugly. That evening, I cooked pasta for one. Overcooked it. Ate standing up. The scratch-off ticket stared at me from the counter. I took a coin and scraped. Cherry Bell 7. Nothing. I tossed it in the trash, where it landed on top of the Whole Foods receipt. Later, I called a lawyer, an old colleague's daughter. Calm voice. Listened without interrupting. "You need to come in," she said finally. "Bring everything." "Tomorrow," I said. When I hung up, the house was quiet in a way that felt permanent. I washed my cup, dried it, put it back exactly where it belonged. For the first time in a long while, I fell awake. If you believe older voices still matter, support this channel with a like and a subscription. The lawyer's office was colder than it needed to be, not air-conditioned emotionally. Frosted glass, gray carpet, a fern that looked like it had given up. I sat with my folder on my knees like a schoolboy waiting for punishment. Her name was Claire Hoffman, mid-30s. Flat shoes. No wedding ring. She read without reacting, which I appreciated. People who gasp too early can't be trusted. "This power of attorney," she said finally, tapping the page, "was executed legally, but the timing is interesting." "My wife died 3 days before," I said. She nodded. "That matters." She slid a yellow pad toward me. Tell me about your daughter. So I did. Not the childhood stuff. The recent years. The slow creep. The dad. Can you just followed by silence when the answer wasn't immediate? The way money moved without asking anymore, like it belonged to someone else. She treats you like a holding account, Claire said. Not maliciously. Efficiently. I almost laughed. We were still talking when my phone buzzed. My daughter again. I declined the call. Let it go to voicemail, Claire said. Sometimes people say useful things when they think they're alone. She was right, but not in the way either of us expected. That evening I sat in my car outside my daughter's house. I don't know why. Habit maybe. Or hope. The porch light was on. Mark's car in the driveway. Voices through an open window. I hadn't planned to listen. I just hadn't planned not to. He's getting difficult, my daughter said. Her voice carried easily. Clear. Unburdened. Mark replied, lower. He's always been like this. Just stubborn. No, this is different, she said. He went to the bank. A pause. Then Mark laughed. So what? He can't do anything without us. Everything's in joint accounts. Not everything, she said. Claire Hoffman is involved. That name landed hard. Mark swore softly. How much does she know? I don't know, my daughter said. But he's acting like this is some kind of betrayal. There was the sound of a glass being set down. Ice clinked. He's 71, Mark said. He forgets things. That's our angle. Silence. Then my daughter again, quieter now. We just need time. Dad always calms down. He hates conflict. Mark snorted. That's because he never finishes it. I closed my eyes. Worst case, my daughter continued. We pushed the assisted living conversation. He's alone. No wife. It's not like anyone would question it. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. The leather creaked. And the money? Mark asked. She exhaled. There's enough. Even if you lock some of it down, we already used most of what we needed. Romai's paid for, Mark said. The academies paid for. Mortgages covered through December. There it was. Inventory. I just don't want this to get ugly, my daughter said. People talk. Mark laughed again. About what? That a confused old man doesn't understand his finances. I started the car. The engine sounded too loud, like it was shouting on my behalf. At home, I sat in the dark and listened to the voicemail she'd left earlier. Dad, please call me back. You're scaring me. I deleted it. The next morning, Claire listened without interrupting. When I finished, she didn't offer sympathy. That's good, she said. Very good. She explained the plan. Not revenge. Correction. We would revoke the power of attorney. Freeze the joint accounts. Demand restitution. Quietly first. Then publicly if needed. It will change how they see you, she warned. I know, I said. They already decided who I was. By the afternoon, the paperwork was in motion. Not dramatic. No shouting. Just signatures, dates, witnesses. Ink doing what emotion couldn't. At 4:47 p.m., my phone rang again. This time I answered. Dad, my daughter said, breathless. The card didn't go through at the academy. What did you do? I corrected an error, I said. You can't just... I can, I said. And I did. Mark's voice cut in. This is ridiculous. Is it? I asked. Because I have a spreadsheet that suggests otherwise. Silence. Then anger. Then pleading. You're overreacting, my daughter said. We're family. No, I said gently. We were. I hung up and sat very still. That night, I slept 6 hours straight. No dreams. In the morning, I made coffee and opened the trash. The scratch-off ticket was still there, bent and useless. I left it. Some things don't need a second look. What mattered now was that, for the first time in years, the phone was quiet. And it was going to stay that way. Until they realized how expensive silence can be. Paper has a smell. People don't talk about it, but it does. Old paper smells like dust and patience. New paper smells like intent. Claire's office was full of the second kind. We worked without drama. That surprised me. I'd expected raised voices, maybe a shaking hand when I signed. Instead, it felt like assembling furniture from instructions written by someone who actually cared if it stood straight. Revocation of power of attorney. Notice of account severance. Demand for accounting and restitution. Dates. Times. Certified mail numbers. Claire slid each document toward me, explaining just enough. This one freezes access immediately. This one gives them 14 days. This one becomes unpleasant if ignored. I signed slowly, not because my hands were weak, but because I wanted to remember how it felt to decide something and have it matter. When we were done, she gathered the papers into neat stacks, clipped them, and stood. Now, she said, we wait, and we document. I went home with copies in a folder that felt heavier than it should have. The house greeted me the way it always had, quiet, loyal, faintly stale. I opened the windows, let June in, cut grass, someone grilling. Normal life happening without me. The first response came 2 days later. An email from Mark. Subject line, let's be reasonable. It was long, polite in the way people are when they're furious, but want a record that says otherwise. He talked about misunderstandings, about stress, about how my wife's death had affected everyone differently. He didn't mention the money. My daughter called that night. I let it ring, then again, then a text. Dad, please, this is getting out of hand. I made soup. Too much salt. Ate it anyway. On the third day, a courier arrived. Clipboard, neutral face, envelope thick enough to be insulting. There, lawyer. I didn't open it right away. I set it on the table and looked at it the way you look at a strange insect. Curious, cautious, unwilling to touch. Claire read it an hour later. Expression unchanged. They're claiming implied consent, she said. Family use. Verbal agreements. There were none, I said. I know. She smiled slightly. This is where numbers help. We laid everything out. Bank statements, tuition invoices, travel confirmations, mortgage records. Dates lined up like a confession. Total transferred without explicit authorization. $112,406.73. Claire circled the number in red. That's not family help, she said. That's misappropriation. The fourth day brought panic. My daughter showed up unannounced. I saw her car through the front window and felt something like grief tighten in my chest. Not for her, but for the man I'd been when her presence meant comfort. She didn't knock. She never does. Dad, she said, stepping inside. I was already scanning. The new coffee machine, the filing cabinet, the folder on the table. You can't do this, she said. I already did, I replied. She paced, hands fluttering, nails done professionally. My money again. This is humiliating, she said. Mark's parents know. People are asking questions. Good, I said. She stopped, looked at me as if seeing something unfamiliar. You're punishing us, she said. I'm correcting you. Her voice dropped. Do you know how this looks? Yes, I said, like I finally noticed. She sat, hard. The chair creaked. You always said you wanted to help, she said. You said family comes first. I never said first, I replied. I said matters. She stared at me, then laughed once. Sharp. You're doing this because of the tickets, aren't you? No, I said. I'm doing this because you assumed I wouldn't. Silence stretched. She stood again closer now. You're alone, she said quietly. Don't forget that. I nodded. I haven't. She left without another word. The door closed softly, which felt deliberate. That night, I sorted through drawers I hadn't opened since my wife died. Old warranties. Manuals for things we no longer owned. A receipt from 1998 for a microwave we saved 6 months to buy. At the bottom, an envelope. My handwriting. Just in case. Inside, account numbers. Separate. Untouched. My wife's idea. I slept better knowing it was there. The letter from Claire went out the next morning. Formal. Precise. Unforgiving. 14 days. By the end of the week, the academy called. Apologetic. Confused. Payments reversed. Enrollment under review. Mark's mother left a voicemail. Stiff. Curious. Dangerous. People talk. On Sunday, I took the trash out and noticed the scratch-off ticket still in the bin, stuck to a coffee filter. I thought about taking it out, about checking again, about luck. Instead, I tied the bag and set it by the curb. Luck is a childish thing. Paper and ink. That's what changes lives. And for the first time since my wife's funeral, I felt something settle into place. Not peace. Authority. The public part came sooner than I expected. It always does. People think confrontation announces itself with sirens and raised voices. In reality, it arrives wearing business casual and holding clipboard. It was a Thursday, hot already by 9. I was halfway through repairing the loose hinge on the hall closet when my phone rang. "Mr. Collins?" a woman asked. "Yes. This is Dana Morales from First Atlantic Bank. I'm calling regarding a scheduled meeting at our main street branch, 10 a.m. "I'll be there," I said. I knew who else would be there. The branch was busy in that nervous mid-morning way. Retirees clutching deposit slips. A young couple whispering urgently. The smell of hand sanitizer and burnt coffee. My daughter sat in one of the chairs by the offices, arms crossed tight against her chest. Mark stood beside her, jaw set, phone in hand like a weapon he'd already fired and missed. They both looked up when they saw me. "Dad," my daughter said, standing quickly. Too quickly. "We didn't know you'd be here." I smiled. Neither did I, until I did. Claire arrived moments later, calm as a metronome. She nodded once to me, then to them, with the professional neutrality of someone who does not need to win the room to control it. Dana led us into a glass-walled office. Sunlight everywhere. No place to hide. "We're here to resolve the disputed transfers and account authority," Dana said, sitting. "We'll be reviewing documentation." She looked at Claire. Claire slid the folder across the desk. "Revoke power of attorney," she said. "Effective immediately. Documentation of unauthorized transfers totaling $112,406.73. Mark scoffed. Loud. "On purpose. This is absurd," he said. "This was family money." Dana didn't look at him. She looked at me. "Mr. Collins," she said, "did you authorize these transactions?" "No," I said. "I noticed them after the fact." My daughter leaned forward. "He knew," she said quickly. "We talked about it." "Did we?" I asked. Her mouth opened, then closed. Dana typed. Clicked. "The bank has determined that the power of attorney was improperly obtained during a period of vulnerability," she said. "We're prepared to reverse recoverable funds and pursue restitution." Mark stood. "You can't just—" Dana looked up at him for the first time. "Sit down," she said. He did. My daughter's face had gone pale. The room felt smaller. "What about the tickets?" she asked suddenly. "The flight. That's non-refundable." Claire nodded. "We know." Dana folded her hands. "Mr. Collins has the option to pursue civil recovery or to accept partial restitution." All eyes turned to me. I thought of the roast chicken, the scratch-off ticket, Rome. "I want it back," I said. "All of it." My daughter's breath hitched. Mark muttered something I didn't catch. Dana nodded. "Then this will proceed." The meeting ended without drama. That was the strange part. No shouting, no tears, just consequences moving into place. Outside, on the sidewalk, my daughter caught up to me. "You're doing this in public," she said. "Do you have any idea how embarrassing this is?" "Yes," I said. "I believe that was the point." She stared at me like I'd slapped her. "You could have handled this privately." "I tried," I said. You laughed. Mark joined us, face red now, control slipping. "You're destroying your relationship with your daughter," he snapped. I looked at him, really looked. "No," I said. "I'm correcting the terms." They watched me walk away. Neither followed. The next scene unfolded 3 days later at the airport. Harold's flight to Rome had been moved. Operational reasons. First class reassigned. Refund pending review. Harold called me that evening. "I don't understand," he said, confused, wounded. "They said there was a problem with payment." "There was," I said. A pause, then cautiously. "Did I do something wrong?" "No," I said. "You accepted a gift that wasn't theirs to give." Silence. "I'll talk to them," he said finally. "You do that," I said. By the end of the week, the academy sent formal notice. Enrollment suspended pending payment verification. Mortgage assistance reversed. Late fees applied. Mark's parents stopped answering calls. People talk. At the grocery store, a woman I barely knew touched my arm. "I heard," she said softly. "Good for you." At home, I poured a drink I hadn't earned in years. Just one. Sat in my chair. Listened to the house breathe. My phone buzzed once. A text from my daughter. "I hope you're happy." I typed back slowly. "I'm honest." Then I turned the phone off. That night, I dreamed of nothing at all, which at my age felt like a luxury. The city lights outside my window blinked on and off, indifferent. Justice, I've learned, doesn't arrive with applause. It arrives with receipts. And this time they were all in my name. After the noise came the quiet, not the empty kind, the kind that follows resolution, like a room after movers leave. Scuffed floors, echoes, space where something used to be. The money came back in increments, not ceremoniously, not all at once. Transfers labeled adjustment and reversal, each one landing with a small, almost apologetic chime for my laptop. $8,500. Mortgage assist reversal. $14,750. Tuition credit. $19,200. Partial travel refund. The Rome tickets never fully came back. Non-refundable meant exactly that. First class is very firm about its principles. Claire warned me not to expect gratitude. You may get compliance, she said. Silence if you're lucky. Resentment almost certainly. She was right. The call stopped. The text dried up. A few mutual acquaintances went oddly distant. The way people do when they're afraid a situation might ask something of them. I didn't mind. I spent the reclaimed hours badly at first. Too much television. Too much coffee. I rearranged the garage twice without finishing anything. Grief has momentum. Even after anger burns itself out, it keeps rolling. One morning, I woke up and realized no one was going to ask me for money that day. The thought was disorienting. I went for a walk, just around the block, then 2 blocks, past houses I'd driven by for years without seeing. Wind chimes, cracked mailboxes. Someone had planted tomatoes where a lawn used to be. At the end of the street, there was a bench I'd never noticed. I sat and listened to traffic breathe. That afternoon, I boxed up things that no longer belonged to me emotionally. Old school drawings my daughter made, kept one. Tossed the rest. A stack of birthday cards signed love always. Replaced by love somewhere along the way. I kept the silence. A week later, a letter arrived. Handwritten. Mark's mother. She apologized without apologizing. Expressed disappointment. Mentioned family values and unfortunate misunderstandings. I didn't respond. Harold sent a postcard from Newark Airport. Coach, short note. Didn't realize how much you were carrying. I hope you're well. That was enough. Claire closed the file in early August. You did well, she said. Most people don't finish this part. Why not? I asked. They'd rather be liked than whole. At home, I found the trash bin empty. I'd taken out earlier without thinking. The scratch-off ticket was gone. I stood there longer than necessary, staring into the plastic barrel, as if it might tell me something. Then I left. Soft. Private. I didn't miss it. In September, I sold the old percolator at a garage sale for $10. A woman thanked me as if I'd given her a gift. I bought myself a new kettle. Simple, stainless steel, no opinions. I learned how to cook for one without apologizing for it. Learned how much space a single person actually needs. Learned that evenings don't have to be filled to be full. Sometimes late at night, I thought about Rome, about leather seats and champagne and someone else's comfort purchased with my blindness. The thought no longer hurt. My daughter never called. Not once. I stopped checking. On my birthday, a card arrived. No return address. Inside, a single sentence in careful handwriting. I didn't think you'd choose this. I folded it, put it in the drawer with the warranties and manuals. Things that explain how something works, but not why. That evening I cooked chicken. Properly, this time. Seasoned. Juice. Ate at the table, not standing up. I poured a glass of wine. Cheap. Honest. Outside, someone set off fireworks early. A test run for a celebration I wouldn't attend. I raised my glass to the quiet kitchen. I didn't win the lottery. I won something harder. I won the right to say no, and have it mean exactly that. And for the first time in years, nothing in my life was first class except my name on my own account. There is a moment after everything's finished, when you expect something else to happen. A knock, a call, an apology wrapped in better words. Some late twist that justifies the damage the way stories usually do. Nothing like that came. October arrived without ceremony. Leaves fell early that year, brittle and loud underfoot. I raked them once badly, then left the rest where they were. The yard didn't complain. I began to notice how often my name appeared on things again. Mail addressed to me alone. Utility bills with only one signature line. Bank statements that didn't need explaining. It was a small thing. It felt enormous. One afternoon, I drove to the storage unit I'd been paying for since my wife died. I'd avoided it the way people avoid mirrors after illness. Inside were boxes labeled in her handwriting. Christmas, photos, taxes 2001 to 2009. I sat on the concrete floor and opened the photo box. There we were younger, thinner, smiling without calculation. My daughter at 6, missing a tooth, gripping my finger like it was permanent. My wife beside me, expression already knowing more than she ever said. I didn't cry. I closed the box carefully and took only one album home. That night, I dreamed of a train station. No faces, just departures listed on a board that kept changing. When I woke up, I felt rested. In November, the bank invited me in, not for problem, but for coffee. Dana shook my hand. You'd be surprised how rarely people reclaim their accounts, she said. I'm not, I replied. I moved one account into a trust with very clear language. No ambiguity. No emergency clauses written by optimists. Clara proved it with a nod. Who's the beneficiary, she asked. I smiled. That depends. On Thanksgiving, I ate alone, turkey sandwich, cranberry from a jar, watched a documentary about bridge collapses. The narrator spoke calmly about design flaws ignored for decades. I found that comforting. In December, a thin envelope arrived. No return address. Inside was a cashier's check for $2,000. No note. I stared at it for a long time, then called the bank. Return to sender, I said. The teller hesitated. Are you sure? Yes. I slept well that night. On New Year's Eve, fireworks cracked the sky open. I stood on my porch in a sweater that had belonged to my wife and listened to the noise without needing to be part of it. At midnight, I poured myself a small drink and raised it to no one. To accuracy, I said. January brought snow and a letter from the academy. Lily had been withdrawn. Family relocation, it said. Efficient phrasing. I felt a flicker of sadness, not for the outcome, but for the pattern repeating itself through generations like a stain no one wants to scrub. In February, I sold a house. Not out of anger, out of proportion. A young couple bought it. Nervous, kind. They asked if the creak in the third stair mattered. It tells you where you are, I said. I moved into a smaller place near the river. 1 bedroom, big windows, no guest room. The first night there, I unpacked slowly, set the kettle on the stove, put the album on the shelf. In the bottom of one box, something fell out. A scratch-off lottery ticket. Not the old one. This one was newer. Must have come free with groceries sometime after all of it. I didn't remember buying it. I laughed. I scratched it at the kitchen counter. Standing up, coat still on. 3 matches. $5,000. Enough to be annoying. Not enough to matter. I cashed it the next day and donated it to the legal aid clinic Claire volunteered with. She texted back a single word. Appropriate. In March, I planted herbs on the windowsill. Basil grew unevenly. Timed it fine. I burned dinner once and ate cereal instead. Life felt exact. Sometimes I thought about my daughter. Not with anger, not with longing, but with a kind of factual distance. Like recalling the layout of a house you no longer live in. I hoped she'd learn something. I doubted it. One morning, while walking by the river, I caught my reflection in the water. Older, straighter, alone unmistakably. For the first time, that didn't feel like loss. It felt like ownership. I never flew first class, never went to Rome, never scratched another ticket. I didn't need to, because in the end, only one of us needed a lawyer, and only one of us walked away knowing exactly what everything cost and what it was finally worth.